Well, they should pay taxes like everyone else.
We're talking about non-DOMs. What do you know about non-DOMs? Have you ever heard of the term?
No.
I would remove the non-dom status completely.
Like, totally overnight.
Totally overnight.
Next year, new government. Next day, it's gone.
Absolutely.
As a tax lawyer, I'm always asked, what is a non-dom? We're always hearing about it in the media. I'm Ben Rosen, I'm a partner specialising in private client and tax at Quastels, a central London law firm. Today we're out on the street sort of canvassing views, trying to get a sense of what people think about what a non-dom is. How does the system work and how could it possibly be changed? If you don't know much about it, not a problem. Here's an introductory overview. Okay, so the UK non-dom tax regime is a complex web of rules and regulations that affects individuals who are considered non-domicile for tax purposes. Now, non-doms are people who are residents in the UK but have their domicile or their permanent home outside of the country. Under this regime, you have two options, okay? You can choose the remittance basis or the arising basis. The default option is the arising basis, unless you make a different choice. Now, let's break it down a little bit further. On the arising basis, buckle up, because you'll be taxed on your worldwide income and gains, no matter where it arises. So it's almost like the taxman is saying, hey, we want a piece of everything you earn, wherever it arises, no matter what. We're having a piece, it's ours. But if you choose the remittance basis, you'll only be taxed on the income and gains you actually bring into the UK. And this is also known as a remittance. So if you keep your foreign income and gains outside of the UK, generally, it won't be subject to UK tax. But hold on, because there are rules and conditions that you need to follow to make sure you're doing it right and not getting into any trouble with the taxman. Now, here's the twist. If you've been a UK tax resident for a certain number of years, you have to pay an annual remittance basis charge. This charge allows you to continue using the remittance basis of taxation even though you continue to be a UK tax resident. So think of it like an extra fee for the privilege of living in the UK, but also keeping your foreign income and gains out of the grasp of the taxman. But hey, let me be clear. The UK non-dom tax regime has seen some changes in recent years. There are more rules and considerations to keep in mind, and it's best to consult with a qualified tax professional, or someone else obviously, to make sure you're navigating the maze of regulations in the correct manner. Now you know some of the fundamentals, let's head to the street. What's your understanding of a non-dom?
So as I understand it, non-doms are sort of high wealth individuals who pay much less tax by virtue of them staying in the UK.
We're talking about non-doms. What do you know about non-doms? Have you ever heard of the term?
No.
What is a non-dom? How do you understand it?
I understand people that live here that don't pay their taxes here, and I think it's very wrong.
What is a non-dom?
A non-dom is somebody who doesn't pay tax to the UK but pays it to another country where some of the wealth is made.
Are you in favour of it?
I don't think I've got a strong opinion either way about it. I know a lot of people are very exercised by it. If by preventing non-dom status existing anymore, there would be more revenue coming into the country, then maybe yes, it is a good thing.
Do you have any concerns that might affect us in terms of the revenue that comes to the Exchequer?
Well, everything is affecting us as far as the revenue that comes into the Exchequer.
Yeah.
Yes, it's probably true that if you prevent wealthy people with non-dom status from coming into your country and basing their work there, then yes, you're probably cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Sounds good.
It does sound good. You're thinking of coming to the UK full-time, aren't you?
Full-time? No.
How long do you spend in the UK every year?
About a month and a half,
Two and a half months, okay. So if you ever wanted to spend more time here, you could technically live here for quite a long time and only pay tax in the UK on your UK assets, your income, your capital gains, and everything that you've got outside in Saudi, in the BVI, any other country, is technically outside of the UK tax net. Still sound good? You're intrigued. We will set up a meeting. Have you ever heard of the fact that Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, that his wife is a non-dom? Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
So basically, what people have been saying is this is an individual from outside the UK, she lives here, and she doesn't pay a lot of tax in the UK. Does that sound right?
No, it doesn't.
So what would you do about it?
Well, I would actually make it that she would have to pay the same as everybody else.
Okay, so the regime basically says any assets you have outside of the UK while you live here, you don't have to pay tax in the UK. The problem is all these other countries now, like Dubai, like Saudi Arabia, Portugal, Spain, they're all saying, all right, so if the UK are not going to welcome you, we'll welcome you.
Yeah.
So how do we compete? Like, is it important that we keep wealthy people who create jobs in the UK?
Depends, is what can they bring for us? So you're saying she doesn't pay enough taxes.
Yeah.
But if they're charging us taxes, then I also want to see her paying taxes as well.
Sure.
But if they see us like they're not charging us much, then perfectly fine what she's doing, you know?
Okay, but they're charging us too much then.
They're charging us too much. So in that case, it's not fair because you're charging us a lot and you're not paying taxes yourself.
So you'd make it more equal for everyone, right?
Equal for everyone.
Okay, cool. What changes did you make?
I would equal her taxes with somebody else like her husband.
Yeah.
Because they're both very wealthy.
They are.
It's not fair that she's not paying taxes like everyone else.
We'll tax the both of them as a singular party.
Yeah, you could do that.
That way, given that they're in marriage, you wouldn't have to charge one against the other. It would be both of them as they come together.
If she's not following the same rules as everyone else,
Yeah.
it's only fair. Or
But she is following the rules because these are the rules. She's allowed to do this.
So it's not that the rules should change, I don't believe, because as you said, people do bring lots of jobs in from their different families and whatnot and come to live here. In which case, if she's providing us with enough jobs for other people to make money off of who she is and whatever businesses she acquires, then that would be perfectly fine. But there's no way she could just be loitering around, not paying anything, living there rent-free, carefree.
Interesting. If one of you guys won the Euro Millions, I think there was someone in the UK that won £110 million last year, and you were told that if you stay in the UK, someone's going to tax it at like 40%. What would you do? Would you go to Dubai where you don't pay any tax?
even.
You go.
I don't think that's fair. Or how can they take 40% of my winnings?
Well, that's what they do. You're saying that Rishi Sunak's wife should be taxed at that level.
Then I'm out.
You're out.
I'm out.
So you can kind of get it, right? You can get why people are like looking around. They've got a whole load of wealth.
I would remove the non-dom status completely.
Like, totally overnight.
Totally overnight.
Next year, new government. Next day, it's gone.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think, look, I'm not espousing any view at this point, just in terms of conversation. We know that other countries are saying, oh, that's fine. The UK turns you away, you come to us. How do you compete? Or do you just say, off you go, adios?
Yes, there'll be consequences, but it's better that people pay their taxes and live here and enjoy living in England.
Do you think it will have any impact on fiscal revenue? If you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer and you're thinking my job is to maximise and produce fairness where I can, is there a concern, or you just find a way of doing it in another way?
I think people have already done it. People have moved away. I think with the Brexit scenario, people have already moved abroad that wanted to move abroad. And I think that the time for worrying about that is just gone.
What if I were to say that non-doms can live in this country for a long period of time, in some cases 15 years, and only pay tax on what they earn and what gains they have in the UK, and everything outside of the UK is not taxed in the UK? Does that sound fair to you?
No, it doesn't. I think wherever they are in the world, they have to be taxed wherever they're residing. It's simple as that. And if there are places where they're not residing permanently, then that's where they should pay their taxes, basically. I don't think there should be any intermediary place unless the laws sanction them for having the taxes accepted to them.
It works out that because if we didn't have non-dom status, they'd go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so even the little tax they do give is better, and they've run it, and it says it is. It works out better, even though it does seem unjust.
What do you think of it generally?
Well, it doesn't feel fair,
right.
I'd say, and yeah, it's. I can see it being controversial. I don't have an issue with it personally,
right?
Just because if it brings more money to the UK, I think that perhaps countries should align more generally worldwide to try and unify tax codes. I think they've been trying to do it at the moment. I think Joe Biden did a thing. It's
a difficult one, isn't it? But if you had a choice and you were in charge of fiscal policy, what would you do?
I'd keep it. I think I don't like it. I'd rather rich people pay the fair share.
Yeah.
But I think unless without some sort of massively world government kind of stuff, I don't think you're able to.
And world government could be a lot worse, couldn't it?
Yeah. So I think you can't do that. And so I think just from a practical standpoint, it's not morally, you go, oh, it's a bit grey, but I think you have to.
Yes.
I got your point, and you are right. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's unfair.
Sure.
So yeah.
Do you understand why some people think it is unfair?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think these people provide anything to the country, any benefit?
Well, I mean, you can't generalise. I don't think on an individual basis. Some of them may do, but as far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be all these tax loops, basically, for people not to pay taxes. It's not called defrauding, but I just think it's the ways of defrauding the tax system, because the working man like me, I don't have those avenues. I don't have options to pay less tax,
Yeah. So what would you like to see happen if there is a new government at the end of next year? What sort of changes would you like to see?
I don't think there should be a non-dom status.
So it's like an overnight change, or like a period to?
I think it'd have to be a gradual sort of implementation of the new laws. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there should be a non-dom status.
So if you come here, you pay tax on everything.
Here, as in you wake up here, you go to sleep here, you use our public services, you use our council tax, you know, bin men, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You should pay as much as anyone else.
Yeah.
In proportion to your earnings, really.
So we've been walking around the West End for a number of hours now, and we've heard so many different views on this area. Some people care a lot about it, some people don't care at all. Some people feel one way, some people feel the other way. It's one of those subjects, and that's why we've done this today. So let us know what your views are. Make sure to give us a follow, put your comments in the comment section. Ultimately, this whole exercise is about getting out there, finding out what people really think about some of these subjects. So if we've not had a chance to speak to you today, that's not the end of it. We still want to hear from you. So let us know your views.